Okay, so the last thing here I want to review is just graphing, but not using maybe all the strategies we did before with finding the x-intercepts, finding the vertex and all that, but just going even further back to, don't forget, if you're not sure about how to do those first two problems on a test, just graphing, always just make a T-chart. That always works. Okay. So let's not forget that. I know a few people did do that. They couldn't get the points for maybe the vertex, but they had the whole graph, so that's a huge jump. Okay. So let's practice a little bit of that. So I have x squared minus 3, right? So I got an x there. So I'm just going to plug in a whole bunch of different x's, -3, plug it in, -2, plug that in here, and I'm just going to do a problem for each one of these and just do, just brute calculation. Okay, there's no strategy to this other than just do as many points as it takes to get the graph. And this is probably how you first learn graphing, is just plugging in points and seeing what you get. And that always works no matter what class you're in. It's the longest method, but if it's the only thing you have to work with, then just go with that. So we have plug in -3. -3 times -3 is +9. Bring down to -3. Right? So we have 9 minus 3, which is 6. So my y, that's what y equals, right? Y equals 6. So I know if I plug in 3 for x, my y is going to equal 6. And I can go over to my graph and find -3, 6, and graph it. Right? And you just repeat that over and over and over. Again, this is the longest way, but sometimes it might be the only tool that you have to graph. -2, 1. And it always works. That's another thing, is that everybody in here can do some order of operations to square a number, subtract, and get an answer. That's something everybody can do. It doesn't matter if you forget how to factor, if you forget how to find a vertex. This will always work. So have this tool ready to go as needed. Plug in 0. 0 squared is 0 minus 3. Right? 0 minus 3 is -3. Whoa. And then just keep repeating. Plug in 1. You get 1 squared is 1 minus 3. 1 minus 3 again is -2. Now you notice I'm kind of color coding these. You still have the symmetry. So you're still going to get the same answers on both sides. So you kind of expect that. Now if you know at some point, well, I got half the graph, I got the vertex, I know this is going to be the lowest point, you can kind of get these other points by using the axis of symmetry. Saying, okay, it's going to be right here. Right? And okay, this one's going to be up here, just because I'm going off of, well, that's this far from the middle, so this one's the same distance on the other side. And you'll know you'll get the same answer. So this one will be y equals 6 if you do it, 9 minus 3. And this one will be 4 minus 3, which is +1, just like the other side. So that's another way of always getting your graph. Always works. Okay, so if you get something weird, you're not sure, this is always another way to check it. It takes some time, but if you have 20 minutes, you're taking a test or a quiz, you have 20 minutes to spare. Yeah, this will be a good use of your time to make sure your graph is actually correct. Okay. Now, let me just remind you a little bit about order of operations. So, like on number 2, this has a negative in front. So this is really -1 times x squared plus 1. It's just important that when you plug something in, that you do the exponent first. So a lot of people want to multiply the negative first and then do exponent, but remember, PEMDAS, exponents, then multiplication. So it's really -1 times +9 plus 1, and then multiply by -1. So very important that you always do that. Watch out for order of operations. That's really a -8. This is all the work here should be right here. This part. That's what goes right here. Plugging in -3. Okay. But do not multiply the two negatives to get +9, and then 9 plus 1 is 10. Very different graph if you do the multiplying first. Same thing here. Let me go down, flip it over to, I think, page. That's straightforward. I kind of give you the template for all these, but when you get down to here on the back, last page, just make sure when you're doing your work, you do -3 times -4 squared minus 6 times -4 plus 4. Very important, don't do -3 times -4 and get 12, and do 12 to the second power and get 144. That will throw all of your work off. So you got to do the exponent only first. Right? Exponent only first, and then do the multiplication. So also go on decimals so you can check your answer, right? Do that. You got to have all the work here. It's going to take some time, but it's not difficult. It's a lot of repeated work, right? Then you finally get your answer, and your answers will fit on the provided graph. So if you get some huge numbers, that just means you made a mistake somewhere. So -420 is way down here, and just keep on going. Okay? Use decimals to check if you